My name is Marie Bloom, and I was 31 years old when I finally understood what it meant to be optional. The message arrived at 10:42 p.m. on a Thursday that had been completely ordinary until that exact second. I was curled into the corner of my couch, legs tucked beneath me, a mug of chamomile tea cooling on the coffee table. My laptop rested open on my thighs, inbox glowing softly in the dim light of my living room. I had been scrolling through confirmation emails, checking things off a mental list I'd memorized weeks ago. Venue secured, caterer confirmed, final guest count approved. Everything was set for my mom's retirement party, the one I had planned quietly, efficiently, without announcements or praise. That had always been my role. If something needed to be done, I did it. If money was short, I found a way. If stress needed somewhere to land so the family could stay calm, it landed on me. I never realized that same reliability had slowly made me disposable. My phone vibrated once. I glanced down, expecting a work notification or one of those scam texts pretending to be a delivery service. Instead, I saw my sister's name, Natalie. One message, 6 words. Don't come to mom's retirement party. I frowned, reread it, then laughed under my breath. It was an automatic reaction, like my body refusing to accept what my eyes were seeing. Natalie had always been dramatic. She loved control. She loved pushing boundaries and then acting shocked when someone finally pushed back. So I waited. Sure enough, another message appeared almost immediately. She doesn't want you there. The room went quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind where your ears start ringing and your thoughts slow down like your brain is bracing for impact. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering uselessly above the keyboard. There had to be context, a misunderstanding. Maybe my mom had said something vague, and Natalie, as usual, had interpreted it in the most extreme way possible. I opened the thread again, and that's when I saw it. A small gray thumbs up icon beneath Natalie's message. From my dad. I didn't move for a long time. My dad had always called himself neutral, the peacemaker, the man who hated conflict and believed silence counted as wisdom. But that tiny thumbs up, lazy and casual and irreversible, told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't Natalie acting alone. This was a decision. I placed my phone face down on the coffee table like it might bite me. Heat crawled up my chest as my stomach began that slow, sick roll. I wasn't crying, I wasn't shaking, I was calculating, because I knew exactly what that party had cost. The venue invoice alone had been $3,800. I'd paid it 3 weeks earlier without telling anyone, because if you announce generosity in my family, it quickly turns into expectation. The caterer, an upscale farm-to-table place my mom loved, another $2,000. A jazz trio, custom linen invitations, a decorator who specialized in those ridiculous floral walls people pose in front of, and the slideshow. God, the slideshow. Nearly 300 scanned photos, some rescued from old albums I'd pulled out of the garage years ago. There was one image the slideshow designer had pointed out when he sent me the draft. My mom dancing in the kitchen with me. I was 6 years old, missing one front tooth, laughing so hard my head was thrown back. Not Natalie. Me. I picked up my phone again. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask for clarification. I didn't defend myself. I typed one word. Cool. Then I opened my email and started canceling. Venue canceled, deposit forfeited, catering canceled, ingredients already purchased. Didn't matter. Cake canceled. 4 tiers, custom frosting. Gone. Band canceled. Refunded in full. The pianist even said, "You sound really calm." He had no idea how much effort it took not to throw my phone across the room. By the time I closed my laptop, my hands were steady. My heart was not. And started canceling. Full. The pianist even said, "You sound really calm." He had no idea how much effort it took not to throw my phone across the room. By the time I closed my laptop, my hands were steady. My heart was not. The next day passed in silence. No apology from Natalie, no call from my mom, no awkward "let's talk" from my dad. Nothing. And that silence confirmed what the messages had already started. They truly believed they could remove me from the picture and still enjoy everything I provided. 4 days later, my phone lit up with Natalie's voicemail. She was crying, loud and dramatic, gasping for air like she was auditioning for sympathy. She never said she was sorry. Not once. She complained about how the venue wouldn't rebook, how the caterer stopped responding, how I had overreacted. A few hours after that, my mom texted in all caps, no punctuation. Why would you do this? No greeting, no concern, just rage. And that's when the truth finally settled in. They weren't upset that I wouldn't be at the party. They were upset because the party couldn't exist without me. They had spent years minimizing me, calling me too sensitive, too quiet, too dramatic whenever I finally spoke up, until they forgot how much weight I carried. So I let go. And that was only the first crack. The day of my mom's retirement party arrived like a date on a calendar no one wanted to acknowledge. I woke up with the strange calm that comes after you've already lost something. There was no panic, no second guessing, just a hollow quiet. I didn't go anywhere near my parents' house. Instead, I drove across town to a small independent bookstore I'd loved since college. I ordered a latte I didn't really want and sat by the window, pretending to read while watching people pass by with purpose. Families, couples, strangers who all seemed to belong somewhere. My phone buzzed every few minutes on the table beside me. I didn't look. I already knew. Late that afternoon, a text came through from my cousin Rachel. No words, just a photo. I stared at it longer than I expected to. A crooked, happy retirement banner drooped across my parents' garage door, the letters sagging like they'd given up halfway through. Plastic folding chairs filled the driveway, some empty, some occupied by people who looked confused more than celebratory. Someone had taped a foam board to the wall with "You'll be missed" written in glitter marker that was already peeling off in the heat. My mom stood in the middle, smiling too hard. Natalie was beside her, holding a plate of grocery store cupcakes like proof she'd tried. Her eyes looked wild, darting just past the camera. She didn't look proud. She looked panicked. Half the guests I'd personally RSVP'd with weren't there. Most of them probably assumed the party had been canceled entirely. I locked my phone and slid it into my bag. I let them have their embarrassment. That night, the voicemail started. Natalie accused me of humiliating the family, said I'd ruined Mom's big moment out of spite. Claimed I was jealous because she and Mom had finally grown closer. That one made me laugh out loud. Natalie had always been close to Mom. She was the favorite, the loud one, the charming one, the daughter who could do no wrong. If she broke something, it was an accident. If I did, it was a character flaw. I remembered being 13 and asking if we could switch bedrooms because hers was bigger and I needed space for schoolwork. Mom had sighed and told me not to cause tension. Natalie had smirked for weeks afterward. So when Natalie called me manipulative for pulling out of a party I'd been kicked out of, something inside me finally stopped trying to make sense of it. I didn't respond. Instead, I emailed the slideshow designer and told him to delete everything, every scanned photo, every backup file, the final edit. I didn't want my childhood memories looping on a screen for people who had decided I didn't belong. The next day, my dad called. He never called. His voice sounded tired, worn down, like he'd already decided this was my fault before dialing. He said it hadn't been meant to go like that Natalie was emotional, that he was just trying to keep the peace. I asked one question. Did you mean it when you liked that text? Silence. Then he said, I thought it would be better if you didn't come. That was it. Natalie could explode and it would be called passion. I could quietly withdraw and it would be called cruelty. I told him I needed space. He said nothing. A week later, Natalie texted like nothing had happened. Family dinner on Sunday. Stop acting like a child. I blocked her. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. A few days later, I had a work trip scheduled. Against my better judgment, I asked my parents if they could watch my dog Bentley. When I came to pick him up, my mom opened the door alone. He's gone, she said. Then, without meeting my eyes, your sister sold him. Something inside me went completely still. Bentley wasn't hers. Neither was I. By the time the police arrived, the truth was already irreversible. Natalie was arrested. Bentley was recovered. When he ran into my arms at the station, tail wagging so hard his whole body shook, something inside me finally unclenched. I pressed charges. That night, my mom left a voicemail saying I'd gone too far. She said if I didn't drop it, I wasn't part of the family anymore. I deleted it. The next morning, I changed my locks, blocked their numbers, updated every emergency contact. Bentley slept with his head on my leg that night. For the first time in years, I felt peace. They had drawn the line long ago. I had just finally stopped crossing it. Head on my leg that night. I felt peace. They had drawn the line long ago. I had just finally stopped crossing it. Blocked their numbers. Updated every emergency contact. Bentley slept with his head on my leg that night. For the first time in years, I felt peace. They had drawn the line long ago. I had just finally stopped crossing it. A week later, a letter arrived from my parents' lawyer. Formal, cold. It mentioned boundaries, legal considerations, and a request for privacy. No apology, no accountability, just control, repackaged. I read it once, folded it neatly, and filed it away. I didn't respond. That was the moment I understood something fundamental. Closure doesn't come from answers, it comes from acceptance. And I had accepted that the people who raised me were not capable of seeing me clearly. That didn't make me broken, it made me free. Natalie tried once more. A new number, a message that started sweet and ended sharp. She said I'd changed, that I was being dramatic, that family doesn't do this to each other. I blocked the number. Family also doesn't sell your dog. Weeks passed.